Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Devonairé channel. Okay, so 2 years ago, the same time, I was here with this little setup like this in a different hotel though. I was in a different hotel. But in Vegas, and I talked about my sexuality. And so I'm doing it again. This is the update, I guess, because things have changed. I have grown, I've evolved as I said I was going to, or as I wanted to. Done things that I was afraid to do. I literally made this trip of doing things that I was afraid to do. And lots of different things like that. I guess I want to start with the differences between now and in that last video. So if you haven't seen that last video, it was literally the first video uploaded on YouTube. Most people have not seen it. I think I have like 30 views at all, like of all time. So like from when the time I'm recording this from 2 years ago, I have like 30 views. So like no one's really seen it, but like if you come across it, or if you did want to watch it, I guess this is like the part 2. So I talked about being asexual, whereas I really did not have a sex drive. I really, and that was, even when I recorded that, I knew I wasn't being 100% honest, but it was my first video and I was really, really nervous. Like I was like shaking, and I was shaking. I had took ecstasy that week. I think it was the day before I took ecstasy. So it was not like, it wasn't like horrible. It wasn't like, oh my God, I was being like all out of character or anything like that. But it was just like, I was extremely anxious. And this was something that I really wanted to do, especially being on camera. I have social anxiety, y'all. I'm getting better. From looking at this camera and from making these videos, it is helping me, but I still have it and I still struggle with it, and it's so hard for me to do certain things, and it's so hard for me to talk about certain subjects in front of this camera. And especially like I go back and forth constantly between whether or not I even should, because if I'm sitting here like, okay, if I'm being brave to make this fucking video, y'all better fucking watch it. But then I'm like, okay, well, what if nobody, like, since nobody sees it, it's like almost not, like, I almost don't want to make a video, because that's like, okay, I'm putting myself in line for social anxiety for nothing, because no one's even fucking watching the shit that I'm struggling to fucking make and pouring out my soul into. So, sexuality. I talked about being asexual, which is little to no sexual desire or sex drive. That is like the definition of it. If you look through different asexual blogs, things like that, it gets broken down. It was like bare bones video. It gets broken down into like various different things. There's like demisexual, gray sexual, things like that. And there's romantic and sexual, where there's like, I can be romantic with somebody, but I may not be sexual with you. So it's like, I may want to cuddle and watch movies or something, but I may not want to actually like physically have sex. So there's like a whole different like spectrum over there that gets really, really complicated. I feel like, the same way we talk about like gender identity and things like that, the sexuality constructs can be very, very, what's the right word? Like, they can be as complex as well. So, update, I found out I'm not asexual, even though I kind of knew this before, that I wasn't, I had like little to no sex drive, but it come to find out that's not necessarily the case. It's just that, I was afraid to reveal what it really was. So I went with asexual because it was easier, because I didn't want to, it's easier for me to say I'm asexual than to say I'm autosexual, because people are rude and jerks and they want to say that, like, I want to fuck a car or something, and that's not what it is at all. It's just not. It's not what it is. Autosexual means I'm attracted to myself. So, like wanting to have sex with yourself. Like, I don't get sexually attracted to, like, in my particular case, it's more like me and people who look like me. And I was really afraid to admit it because that sounds so bad. And I know so many people who put on that mask or that character, and it's really, very toxic. So I'm not trying to be toxic, y'all. I'm not. I want to find somebody, or I want to find something that I can really like connect with. And that is what I like. That's the closest like word to describe it. Okay. Like, I want to love myself entirely for who I am as a person, inside, outside, and in every kind of way possible. And that includes sexual. So it's hard for me because when I was growing, like, for me, I'm a more, like, we talk about, like, well, I shouldn't say we talk about this, because I don't really talk about it a lot on this channel, particularly. I do on my other channels, so you can click the link in the description box to watch my other videos from my other channels. Sorry, my foot keeps hitting the tripod. Oh, and now the air's on. Hello. But, so, basically, what that means, well, I was gonna say, like, mind, body, spirit. Okay, let me do that. Mind, body, spirit. So, people can be attracted to somebody's mind. Like, it's like saposexual, right? That's the part of the thing. Like, people like are really attracted to intelligence, or like intelligent conversations, or like things like that. Like, there's lots of different sexualities, y'all. I'm just trying to report on mine. Go look up different ones. I can make a video like describing ones I've seen in a different one. I'm not gonna do that in this one because that doesn't make it too confusing. But saposexual is like that thing where you're mentally attracted, or like someone's mind. Like, you like the way that somebody thinks, or like it turns you on how somebody thinks, kind of. You make it turned on by like conversations, stimulating conversations, things like that. There's also spiritual, where basically we, like, a lot of people think about like sex demons, or like succubus, incubus demons, or things like that, or like sex streams, or whatever. And that's really where they do come through sex streams to do like that. That is like a thing. It's like astral sex in a sense. Like, it doesn't have to be bad, but that's like people who like don't know what's going on. It can come off as various different things. So, and if people misuse their energy the right way, because again, that is all about energy. So you have to like know how to use your energy to work that the kind of the right way, in a sense. Like, that's when we get to the succubus, incubus demons, because like if you use that the wrong way, you can just drain a person and they will really think that you're just evil, because it's like, how the fuck did I dream of you and now I can't do anything all day? I don't feel like I have any life left in me, and they misuse their energy. So next would be the body, right? Which is what most people know about sexuality, like, body shape and things like that, and being attracted to different people's bodies, and very, very carnal, like very, very fleshly, just all about flesh. You're not really worried about who the person is on, like, underneath, right? So for me, growing up, I always seen people be very fleshly sexual. They wanted to have sex with people just because of how they looked. Some people mostly just wanted to have sex with people just because they felt terrible or something, and they felt like they would make them feel better. Or I wasn't sure. I wasn't a person who had sex a lot at all. Like, I watched literally everybody would like have sex around me. It pissed me off so much. Like, if I went in the car somewhere, they would fuck in the car. Like, I literally was driving in Atlanta, and this dude was trying to fuck his ex in the car in the backseat behind me. I was like, there's so many different stories, y'all. Like, I would go to another one's house, and one of the friend's house or group people's house I went with, and they were like literally like start having a sex dungeon or something. I was like, okay, so what is this? Because clearly I'm not involved. Like, they were, or like it was like a group of them, and they were all like, I had a group of friends who were girls trying to fuck a group of like dudes. And so it was like they did it right there, and I'm like, okay, so this is just like, like, I'm used to being around people who have no sexual self-control at all. Especially with their bodies. Like, they have no sexual self-control. Now, we talk about sexual energy for a lot of times. Of course, that's also like the spirit thing. Some of these people I know also like dibble and dabble and whatever they call it, sex magic sometimes. I guess it's depending on really what you do with it, but it's like I said, that's a whole other video for a whole other subject. And there's minds, where it's like you're attracted to how somebody thinks, right? So for me personally, I grew up being more mental. I grew up being more sapiosexual. I grew up being more mentally attracted to people versus bodies, or even spirit. Then as I learned, and I became like, as I seen how much my mind didn't mesh well with people, because I think however, in a different way I I consider myself intelligent, not to try and be like boo boo boo, but just to be like, I think I'm a smart person, and I like to engage in intelligent conversations. So a lot of people do not. They want it to be straight up just carnal, fleshly, like, well, who you fucking? Or like, you like big booties, small booties, light skin, dark skin. I'm like, okay, so what about like them as a person? Do you know? Oh, I don't even, big booty, small booty. Like, like that's what it was like. I'm like, okay, so like we can't even like, and so like demisexual is like emotional connection with people, right? That's usually a thing, right? Again, to me that's more spiritual and mental, but like that is another one that's out there. Like you have to create emotional connection with people before you want to sleep with them. So when I got older and I realized that people were, again, I wasn't thinking about like fucking people when I was younger. I was more like, okay, so like just based off of who I was attracted to, who I found myself being attracted to, or whom I found myself like being around. It was people who mentally intrigued me, like people who I could not figure out. And that led me to a whole world of trouble in general, because it's like, okay, so you don't want to date the person that you can't fucking understand, because you're supposed to understand the person that you're dating, and to find that out. Anyway, moving on. We go to the spiritual part, because that became kind of next, right? Even if I wasn't as spiritual of a person, I was still attracted to spiritual and energy as in people. So like I would see, like you can see this person with this really like banging like carnal body, fleshly body, but their mind and their spirit was not as beautiful as the body that they carried on the outside, or not as beautiful. Even like some of the people, like which is going to be hard to, like, it's hard to describe, because there's so many people who think that they look one way and they look a completely different way to me, because I'm looking for mind and spirit in there as well, because that's what I grew up with. So when I like deal with people, that's what I was like seeing, whatever, or like noticing. Like people be like talking about wanting to have sex, and I'm like, okay, so, or they talk about people like, again, I also dealt with gays. So gays were all just body. They weren't nothing else. It was just body, 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 body. That's all they ever cared about was the body. It's like okay, so there's literally nothing else to you besides your body. Like it, you know what I'm saying? Like these are the same people that it was like, if they like tripped and broke their foot or something, like they have nothing to offer the world anymore. That sounds so sad, but it's like, or like if they got like a zit or something, it was like, oh my god, I can't do anything now because no one's ever gonna love me or anything like that because I have a zit on my face. I'm like, how is that a thing? But they were like that, and like legitimately like would not come out of the house or anything like that, because it's like, oh my god, like. And it's not even that like they were ugly. It was more like that was like the power, was the look. They had nothing else to offer. You see what I'm saying? Like, so it was like, if it was a small imperfection, it took away the power from them. But when I like, so as I started seeing those things in people, I became less and less attracted to other people, and more just attracted to myself or people who were like me, who I could relate with, you know, just on a relatability type level, like whoever as a mental conversation who does not have toxic, destructive energy, or like who has like this loving, caring energy, right, nurturing energy. Not that many. Again, if we're talking about like dudes and gay dudes and things like that, not that many people have that type of energy, or that I've seen that they don't have caring energy. They don't compliment you. They don't say nice things to you. They don't do nice things for you. They literally try to hurt you. Like, it's like, you know, you date gays and their idea of like being romantic is crushing you and traumatizing you and complaining about how much they've been traumatized before in their life, and then re-traumatizing you over and over again. Exactly. It's very, very toxic. So I stopped dealing with people. Really, I did. I stopped dealing with people. I really stopped trying. I stopped trying to have sex. That's where the asexual part comes in, because that video from 2 years ago was basically me just being frustrated and admitting it. Like, I literally, the person who I came here with was like my friend at the time, not really my fucking friend, but you know, like, wanted to pretend to be my friend for whatever, I don't even know what the fuck reason to pretend was for. Went to go fuck somebody, and that's why I was like, okay, so I really, like, I don't be having this desire, like, I don't, like, I get on the grinder and I look at the bodies, and it's like, I don't feel the energy that I want to be participating or like giving my body to. Like, or it's not like about a top or bottom thing as much as it's like a sex drive thing. Like, no, like, who turns me on? And it's not that many people who would do that anymore, because I see their mind and their spirit, and I grew up going mind and spirit first. These other people grew body first. So they see a body, whatever, blah, 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 and they be fucking this is that for months, and then they find out, like, the mind and spirit part later, and they're like, why did I end up doing this? And I'm like, I seen that up front. So, like, the body to me was, like, the last thing. It's still, like, a thing I want to deal with. And this is the part that kind of is hard, because as I stopped dealing with people, right, like that, it became more about energy and mental. Well, who you spending most of your time with is myself. Who am I spending most of my energy in is my own energy. So as much as I did watch other people, you know, technically I'm always like in my own body. I watch other people, and I tried to live through other people as well, because I saw other people having relationships, whether they were healthy or not healthy. To me, they were successful because they sustained a relationship with another person, another human being. Whether it was just sexual, whether it was just based off of sex, doesn't mean it was necessarily healthy, but it was sustained. Like, they stayed around. People don't stay around me very often. And honestly, like, when they start being toxic, I kick them out. So it was like, I see people who have relationships that like last, or for whatever reason it would, right? And usually they would tell you it's because of the sex. And I'm like, oh, well, so that's why I can't get relationships last, because I don't ever, like, I'm not the I see you and then 2 seconds after I see you I want to fuck you. And it's so hard to describe, because it's like, I get attracted to people. I do get attracted to other people, not nearly as much as I get attracted to myself. And I want to sleep with other people, but again, it's not like a dire need. Like, and so I don't know where I fall on the spectrum, because again, I was around people who I don't feel like had a healthy sex life in general, so I don't know what one looks like. I'm just being really, really honest. I was not around people who had a healthy sex life in general, so I don't know what happens. Like, where I grew, like, my parents growing up did not have sex, so they didn't, like, my mom didn't have any men around, my granny didn't have any men around. Like, there was no, like, they didn't have relationships, they didn't do people. They did not do dating or anything like that. So it's like, you know, like, people learn the stuff from their parents. I did not learn how to date from any, like, I learned how to date from, like, watching TV and movies and seeing things that I thought would be romantic, or things that, again, empath life, you know, if you are an empath out there, lots of times you'll watch TV or watch things and you'll feel things from there, or like you'll feel the emotions that other people have. So, like, I would watch other people, like, have and feel when they had certain emotions. So, like, say, like, someone did something nice for somebody, and I could feel their, like, happy, like, emotion emanating from them. And it's like, okay, so that's great. And I would, like, the people who I was, like, around or dealt with the unhealthy sexual relationships, I never saw them really have joy with the people they were having sex with. Sometimes, but it wasn't, like, it's just like, okay, they were just doing it just to do it, I guess. And I was like, okay, but I don't want to suffer doing it, and even though I did, and I have, and I know a lot of there are other people who have said the same thing, like, other people who have said the same thing, or do the same thing, where it's like, okay, fucking to fit in, basically. And, like, just trying to, like, have sex because that's, like, the thing we're supposed to be doing, or whatever. Like, I don't know. And it's funny because it's, like, propaganda and stuff, I guess, between, like, the gay agenda, which I still don't understand what that's supposed to be, or all this other stuff. Because I've never been one of those people who try to turn a straight person gay either. Like, I've never tried. It's happened. I've heard, like, people come, like, I would never date somebody, like, I would never date a dude, but then I would fuck you or something. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that has happened, but it's, like, I don't know how to take that. Like, I really don't know how to take that sometimes. Like, I want to take the fucking sex, but then they don't actually have sex with you, so it's like, but yeah, I guess so. Over the years of not actually having sex with other people and still wanting and desiring to have sex in general, and to appreciate myself in all different ways, I started developing a lot more autosexuality, which is like me more being attracted to myself, right? Like, and it's different for me because, again, I was mind and spirit first. So I'm attracted to my intelligence. I'm attracted to like the energy, the thought process, right? The body is new. So I'm still like trying to get my body to look the way that I want it to look. And the way I want it to look is the way that, excites me sexually. Because again, I've learned to stop really seeking really any of this from other people, right? Because I've not had other people around. So it's like, for me to seek sex from another person was not, it didn't really work out well. Like, it didn't really work out well. This is that, and I had too much sexual anxiety and sexual trauma from different things to really even go to another person. But like, when I'm by myself, alone, whatever, it's like, oh, I can be free here because I'm by myself. I don't have anyone judging me. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have anybody like trying to like scan my body and examine my body or anything like that. Especially because I haven't been a body person, and I don't fully have the body that I want to have, or the body that I feel like is sexy. Like, I see bodies. I see people who were like conventionally sexy. I see people who were like sexy in a obscure way. I see people who were like, they have their own whatever way they like to do stuff. There's some people who are like, different people do different things, right? And I've seen lots of different stuff. I'm telling you, BDSM community, things like that. Like, I really have like researched sex because I wanted to be a part of it. I understand that there's a lot of power in having sex. There's a lot of power in being sexy. There's a lot of power in being able to attract people to you. It's a lot of power in having people wanting to desire you, and we people talk about that all the time. Art of seduction, all those different things. People talk about these different things all the time, and it's really all just like having people wanting you, or wanting to like be around you, being your energy, or whatever it is, like being attracted to you. And for me, it was always hard because it was hard for me to be attracted to another person, and it was really, really hard to recognize when someone was attracted to me. Especially when they don't do things that I thought would be attractive. Like, if I could do certain things like for or to myself, I would. And then it's like, there's not, I don't know, like, other people don't. So I stopped looking for it in other people. So as I'm looking for it within myself, it becomes kind of hard because I'm like, okay, so it's a lot of shame involved in liking your body, or for me, liking my body. I felt a lot of shame. I grew up in a church, like not like in the actual church building, but like in like a churchy family. So like they weren't like, and I grew up around like Christian-y people, who again, whether they're like Christian people have different things that they believe in and things like that, especially when it comes to sex and regarding sex and things like that. So it's always been like a tricky and difficult subject in general, and one I really couldn't talk about. And this is like my backstory, you guys, so like, don't judge me. But like even my mother, she was hell bent on trying to find a guy to talk to me about sexual matters, and it was like no, like she wanted me to have like a father figure to talk about that, and I was like, no. Like, I don't want some random man talking to me about sex. Like, no. So, like, I wanted to find people who I was comfortable with talking about, and I really couldn't because they didn't understand or relate to me because they didn't have the same feelings. Like, I look at me as a person, like, I guess I always wanted to be the person that was like, okay, so I guess to me, my ultimate goal is to be the person that I would want to be with in all ways, shapes, and forms. I want to be the person that I would want to be with. I want to be the person that I want to have a conversation with. So if someone else is talking to me, like, I want to come off as being interesting. So I want to make sure I'm an interesting person somehow. I wanted to be the person that was attractive. And now my next thing, or like my next stroke, is like my body, right? Like, I want the body that makes people want to like be with me or fuck me or whatever. And it's not even about that, about making other people do it. It's more like I want the body that pleases me. But and again, this is odd because it's like I'm attracted to, like, I've been working on it, right? Like, I've been working on it. I do like things about myself. There's lots of things about myself I don't like, and I'm working on those as well. But I'm like, I always wanted to be the person that is like, okay, you know, they say like be who you wanted to be when you grew up, or they always tell you to like be the change you want to see, or they always tell you like, I don't even know what to say, like, be the change you want to see. They always just tell you like, I don't know, different things. Like I wanted to, if I took a picture of myself, I didn't want to feel disgusted by my picture. I wanted to be turned on by my picture. Like, I want to bust to my picture, which I have. But point being, like, that was like a whole thing for me. It was like being the person that I want, like, you know, seeing myself the way that I wanted to be seen. So for me, as a person who's being attracted to myself, it's difficult because there's a lot of shame involved in that. For I grew up, my area, my life, like it felt like there was a lot of shame in that. Because lots of people who I know who enact that character are very, very toxic people behind the character, right? It's like people who act like they really love themselves, and they may only like how they look. That may be the only thing they like about themselves. Or they may like pretend that they're so like, oh, I'm so great and I don't do anything wrong ever. And that's like narcissistic behavior, you know, where they don't want to ever admit their own problem and they want to project their problem onto somebody else. So I grew up around those people partially thinking that they were the people who could relate to me, because I thought, okay, so this, like, if I seen somebody who was, again, like liking the way they looked, but not their mental or their spiritual or anything else like that, or even their emotions or whatever, it was like, okay, so, oh, this person likes the way they look. See, I'm trying to get to that point. Like, I do and I don't, but like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to get to that point. So it's like, oh, I want to deal with, like, you know, people who are like that so I can pick up, learn some things, blah, 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 blah. Or people who have like healthy sex lives, or people who like even sex addicts at that. Because I feel like, to me, it's like I have to overcompensate to get like somewhere in the middle. Then it became, as I started to figure out how toxic they were with not only like the other people, but even within themselves, like, I was like, okay, so this is not, you know. So like when I'm looking at my body now, it's weird because I'm mentally and spiritually attracted to myself, my energy. Like, I don't mind being alone. I'm out here on the strip by myself. I do not mind being alone. I'm the person who sits at the restaurant alone. I'm the person who like goes on the trip alone. I'm the person who just does things by myself, because I found out being with other people can be very, very toxic for me, because a lot of these other people who don't think the same way I think, or don't operate with the same type of energy, or this, that, and it can become very, very toxic to me. So now, as I'm like evolving again or whatever, and I'm trying to learn how to love my body more and craft my body and shape my body, like I wouldn't say like bodybuilding necessarily, but more like, you know, putting in the work to create the body that you want to have. Most of these people do, like, you know, a lot of people do this. They spend their time doing like their fitness or things like that. And you'll see lots of people doing that, or focusing on their body and not on other things. And I focus on other things first before I focus on my body, which again is like, I guess to me it's backwards, because like where I grew up, I saw everybody doing it the opposite way. And it wasn't that I didn't want to. I felt like I couldn't do it that way. Like, I tried, I worked out, you know, things like that. I didn't see the changes in my body. So now I'm starting to see changes in my body for different things, and that feels weird to say as like a grown adult, but you know, whatever. It's like I start to see changes in my body for different things. Like, okay, so this is clearly like a thing, you know, like putting effort into that. I'm still like attracted to myself. So, or people who look a lot like me. And I don't know if that's like a trauma response or anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it personally. It seems like it's anything that's gone wrong or become toxic at all for me. But again, I don't really deal with other people. And nor do I want to change someone else. Like, there's some people who want to like change someone into them. Like, I don't want to change someone into me. Like, if you, it's supposed to just be genuine, naturally aligned. Like, if I naturally align with someone spiritually, it shows to me. If I naturally align with someone mentally, it shows to me. If I naturally align with somebody, and for the physically, it shows, but they all show up as different things. And again, I've always wanted someone who I could be with for all those different areas. And the only person I was able to do that with was myself, because I was alone, isolated for all of my life. So it's like, okay, so it's like the I'm my own soulmate energy, or the, you know, like the love, I'm the love of my life type energy. And that sounds really bad. I guess it shouldn't really sound bad. But to me, it comes off as like that, because I'm so used to dealing with toxic people who like do that and they don't really mean it. Or they like, oh, like they will come and tell me how much I don't love myself or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not the case. I don't love myself the same way that maybe you do, but it doesn't mean I don't have love for myself. And it's a long story, y'all. Anyway, point being. So like, I'm a sexual person, but I don't have sex because of this. So like, I'm attracted to things. Like, for instance, like people have foot fetishes, right? I don't feel like that's a scary one to admit. So people have foot fetishes, right? Like, okay, I can have it. Like I'm a person that I have a foot fetish. I will admit. One of the fetishes I have is for my own particular feet. You know what I mean? Like, I have bigger feet. I have like size 13 feet, size 13, size 14. Like, so, I mean, I'm not gonna be like, you know, but like, that's like a thing for me. So I see other people with that, and that's attractive. But again, it also kind of stems from the fact that I have that, and that's one thing I liked about myself. I learned how to like about myself. And when I learned how to like it about myself, it became like a sexual thing a little bit. And as I'm learning to like more and more about myself, and more it's become more sexual. But that's because I'm like, I see myself as the thing I want to, like, I see myself, I don't know how to like put it. Like, I see myself as like, I want to be the boyfriend that I always wish I had. And I feel like everybody always like says that, but like I mean that like inside and out, truly. And it's scary because then like I see people who don't have the morals and like the mental and spiritual components, but they have like the body, right? And I see people lots of times who get upset because I may not be attracted, or who don't understand that I'm not attracted to simply like just one thing, or just the body, or just like, if I'm attracted to your body and your body alone, you're like a one night stand. Like, you're just there for like one thing. If I'm attracted to like your mind, we may have conversations, but we may never even ever touch each other. If I'm attracted to your spirit, I may want to like hang out with you and deal with you, but it maybe get kind of awkward if it's physical, or I may not know how to like express that, or think, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's different things. So it's like wanting a complete other person who I can feel compatibility and chemistry, all these different things with, all at the same time. It's hard for me because I don't feel like I have that, because I really like, it's all within me. And that sounds like, I don't know, I guess scary. Like, I'm losing weight, I'm getting the body I want. It's not scary in a bad way, but it's scary in the sense that like, okay, so I started to get depressed because I was like, I guess I lived in fear that I would never find somebody who resonated with me, who could identify with me, who understood what I'm talking about, right? I still don't know if I will ever find like people who understand that, you know? There's like groups and things like that I've discovered who who do get that, but I mean like in my 3D life, like out here type thing, right? It's just difficult for me personally. I guess like admitting that I like my body, what I don't like, I'm wanting to fix so I can like it more or love it more or be more attracted to it. And I'm a very self-critical person. I've always been a very self-critical person. So for me to like look at my body and see an imperfection is like, oh, like when I was younger, my parents did not want me to look at mirrors and stuff. I whatever. Anyway, so it's hard for me because I am attracted to me, right? And I'm attracted to me in more than just a physical form. But I also would like to enhance my physical form because I want to be more attracted to my physical form. But again, I'm attracted to who I am, like my own energy, my own like just my own like aura. Because I don't have drama when I'm by myself, so I'm attracted to drama-free people, things like that, like-minded individuals. I don't know what to tell you. Like that's what attracts me, and even in the physical, I am attracted to people who look more like me or who have this thing like who have like my same like characteristics or distinctions or things like that. Like I am attracted to that, and I feel like that's like, I don't know, stereotypical or whatever or weird, because like gay people have always been like, to me it's always like the meme that like, oh, gay, like a gay person is trying to find like themselves in like another person basically, or like they're always like trying to find like their twin or something, or they're always trying to find like the one who looks just like them or this or that. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but I definitely have like seen people who look alike and be like, oh, you should try and date them and see how that works, and whatever, and blah blah blah. Like there are people who I found that look like me who may not have been like as attracted to me as I was. I don't know what they were. They didn't say anything, whatever, blah blah blah. It wasn't discussed like that. So so for me, like being this, and I don't want to feel shame in it, because I know there's not shame in it. In fact, a lot of people wish that they could. I've come to find out over the years, a lot of people wish that they could. But I also see other people like having a relationship. Like as much as I do like myself, I'm not really able to like hold myself the way I want to. I'm not able to touch myself the way I want to. I'm not able to like do certain things the way I want to. So it's like hard, because I'm like, okay, so I still would need like another physical body around to like properly experience what sex is, I guess, or what traditionally known as sex. But I don't have another person around, or I can't get another person around who I'm attracted to in all those different areas. It's just like, it's rough. Okay, it's just rough. So basically, I'm turned on by myself, and I'm not as turned on as I would like to be from my physical body, but like my mental and my spirit is still like, I can't deal with people who don't have like a mental and spiritual thing. As I'm still trying to get to my body thing, and that being first, it's like even more like hard or confusing for me, because I don't know how to talk or deal with people who don't understand what it is I'm talking about in like a lot of different ways. Like I look at my body and I think, okay, I see the imperfections around different areas, and I feel so much trauma and shame for just not being touched by another person. Like part of me feels like, okay, so even though I'm attracted to, I want to be more attracted to myself than I am physically, the fact that other people don't seem to be, or like didn't seem to be before, really made me feel worse. And now as I'm working on my body and loving my body and seeing other people seem to like it now that I've liked it more or worked on it more, it's like, is confusing to me, because I'm like, okay, so now I'm doing all this work to like who I am. It's like, why do other people seem to want to deal with me now when they didn't before. Like it's confusing to me personally. Okay, but like I like to look at myself. You know, like I'm a person. This is going to be like full disclosure. I have an OnlyFans that no one ever subscribes to. It's really just me, and I go on there and look at my own OnlyFans and like whatever. That's basically how I'm living my life. Like I made my own porn for myself of myself, basically. And like to me, I've heard people be like, "Oh, I wish I was so like I could do that or this is that," and I'm like, I don't know if you do because now I don't really deal with other people though. A lot of people want to deal with, like, a lot of people be like, oh, I want to deal with this person, this person. I'm like, yeah, see, but this life, you don't, with autosexual life, like, I don't really deal with a lot of other people because I don't find a lot of other people, like, attractive as much as I find myself. That sounds, like, really kind of confusing, but it's like, I don't deal with people. Like, I don't, like, I won't, especially, like, if I find, like, mentally and energetically or spiritually, like, it's toxic for me, like, I don't deal with it. And then even if I want the body, I may not want the rest of it. That sounds really mean, but I mean, it's what it is. Like, or if I want the spirit, I may not want the rest of it. Or like, if I want the mind, I may not want your body. And like, I don't know how to like describe it or make it sound less mean, I guess, because I feel like it just sounds so mean, and I don't mean to sound mean, but like, I like who I am. I like being attracted to me. I like people. I like like-minded individuals. I like people who, can understand that. Yeah, me liking myself isn't a problem if I'm not abusing somebody else. And a lot of these other people who I find who claim that they like themselves love to abuse other people to make themselves feel better. I'm not one. I don't want to be one of those people. I'm not one of those people. Okay, like, and it's hard because I see them doing that, and I see that they're like they claim that they're doing what I'm doing, or they claim that they're like the same things I'm like. I'm like, you're making how I am feel even more toxic, because if you think that that's what this is, then that makes me feel even worse. It's like, am I portraying this wrong? Am I putting this out there wrong? Am I doing something wrong that make you think that in order to I guess be like sexualize yourself, you have to be mean to everybody else? Because that's not the case at all for me. I just, I want to deal with myself. Like, I want to love myself in all the ways possible. I want to be my ultimate supply of love and affection. Like, I don't want to be looking for an outside source for any of that things. And mostly because I've done it and I didn't get anywhere. So as I'm trying to bring more of it like within me and out of me, it's it just makes me like nervous, anxious, and things like that. And I'm fighting through the anxiety and all that kind of stuff, but it does make me nervous and anxious. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Okay, y'all. I'm making the video update. It's my sexuality. Okay, I'm autosexual. I'm attracted to myself. I turn myself on. I make myself happy. I want so I don't know at this point. It's like I'm almost like I feel good about uploading this because I know people don't watch my videos, but at the same and it's not like two minds about something. It's more like I don't know the best way to like even go about doing this because I feel confident alone. I don't feel confident around other people. I don't feel comfortable like with sex around other people at all. I don't feel comfortable with like a lot of other things because I don't feel like I can open up to them about like, okay, so what is like, like a fetishist myself. So like I don't want to turn somebody into me and make them feel like they have to be me to like be with me or be around me. And I don't want to make people feel like I don't know, like this may not come out the way I want it to come out, or it may be perceived the way I want it to be perceived, but So yeah, that's it, y'all. Autosexual sexuality updates. I guess maybe in 2 years I'll be back here again making another video about this. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, don't judge me too hard, y'all. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself I can. So, see ya. Bye. Assassination.